Hey guys, I'm Jordan from Mickey Mom Vlog, and I am so excited because we just booked another Disney trip. We are going back in November, and I thought this would be a great time to just kind of break down to you guys how I plan a Disney trip, the steps I take, and in what order I do everything. So let's get right into it. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do when you're booking your Disney trip is pick your Disney resort. Now, obviously you can stay off property or you can stay on property at a non-Disney resort, but I highly recommend staying at a Disney resort, and here's why. So first of all, when you're staying at a Disney resort, you do not need a car at all, which means you don't need car seats, which is a big deal for me. I hate dragging car seats through the airport. So no car seats. When you get to the airport, they provide transportation for you. There will be a bus called the Magical Express. You'll get right on there and it'll drop you off at your resort. Along the way, they'll put a little video for you about Disney World, and then little Mickey Mouse shorts will play after that. And just an easy way to get to and from the airport without having to drive and rent a car and everything. Another reason you won't need a car is because when you stay at a Disney resort, they provide transportation to and from the parks. And then depending on which resorts you pick, there's also boats, monorails, gondolas, and then some are even walking distance. So there's a million ways to get around Disney property without having a car. And honestly, having a car is more of a pain to me. If you want to drive your car to the parks, you're going to pay, I think it's $15 a day. That can add up really fast. So you might have an off-property resort that seems a lot cheaper, but if you start taking into account things like having to take your car and park it at Disney World, the price of renting a car, or maybe your resort has a parking fee, those things can add up. So it's definitely worth looking into and seeing if it's worth it and you're saving money or not. So another reason that I would always pick a Disney resort is because you are much closer to all the Disney parks than if you're staying off property, obviously. And to me, I love that quickness getting in and out. And even on Disney transportation, or even when you're as close as you are, it can take a while. So think about how long it can take if you're having to drive in and out of the parks yourself. I mean, it's kind of confusing getting around there too. We've done it a million times and I get so lost there. It's not even funny. Other resorts may offer transportation too. Sometimes though, those are, you pay for it. And sometimes they're just really set, strict schedules. So if it's a 9:30 bus and it's leaving at 9:30 and you miss it, you're not going to catch the next bus again until 10. Disney's buses come about every 20 minutes, sometimes more, sometimes less depending on the time of the year. You can also take things like Uber and Lyft and stuff, but they do provide free transportation. So I would take advantage of it. The other thing is that Disney just has that little extra magic that nobody else can quite master like Disney does. From their cast members to the decor, everything is just so magically Disney. I can't really explain it, but little things that cast members do that like they just really make your day or make your trip. We've walked into our room before and there's been little towel animals and stuff, like little Mickey shapes or elephants, just various things, and the kids go crazy for that kind of stuff. And it literally, like, they'll talk about it after the trip is over. And it's so funny because you're there and there's all these other things going on, but these are the things that they love and remember. So cast members can make a huge difference in things like that. Just being in a Disney resort is just so magical. Again, I can't really explain that, but it is, trust me. So the other thing with Disney resorts is that you have the option of either doing a deluxe, a moderate, or a value resort. Now generally, I have only stayed in the deluxe resorts because we're DVC members, Disney Vacation Club members, and they fall under the deluxe resort category. So I don't have a lot of experience with the moderate and value resorts, except for the fact that we've had a lot of friends and family stay there, especially for our wedding. So I've gotten great feedback on all those places. And I know we've had family also stay at like the Wyndham by Disney Springs and everything, and that's still Disney property, but it's not a Disney resort. So resorts on Disney property do get some of the benefits of a Disney resort, such as fast passes being able to be booked 60 days out instead of 30. Some of the value resorts can actually be nicer for the kids, in my opinion, than some of the deluxe resorts, because the value resorts put a lot of actual characters into their resorts. And I'm talking about like life-size Little Mermaid, giant Pongo Dalmatian dogs and the Lion King statues everywhere. And their suites are actually themed a lot of times. Like there's a Little Mermaid room, there's an animal, or there's a Lion King room, there's a Cars room. They're adorable. So just look into some of those things. I don't think you can really go wrong with a Disney resort is what I'm saying. I think paying a little bit extra at, say, the Art of Animation compared to the Wyndham, but for that extra money, I think your kids will go absolutely nuts for the atmosphere, and I think it would be worth the money, honestly, especially if it's like a one-time trip for you. So definitely look into Disney resorts. They are worth the money. And here's a little money-saving tip as far as staying at a Disney resort goes. You can actually stay at one of the deluxe resorts through Disney Vacation Club. It's a website called DVC Request. And basically what you'd be doing is buying out somebody else's points for a week or however many days. So you're paying a certain dollar amount per point, and you get to stay in the deluxe resorts for, like half the price. For an example, I've looked into Animal Kingdom Lodge, and I think a room there, if you go through Disney, is like $400 and some a night. But if you do it through Disney Vacation Club, you can get the room for like $150 a night. So look into that. It is definitely worth it. So that is my number one. Once you get that taken care of, I recommend going on your phone and downloading the My Disney Experience app. The My Disney Experience app is going to have everything in one place on your phone for you. It'll have reservations, mobile food order, show times, wait times, park opening, closings, everything you can think of, you can do from your phone. There's even games on there to entertain the kids in line. So you're definitely gonna want that app downloaded as soon as you can. And then you link everything to it as you go, like your dining reservations, hotel reservations, fast passes, things like that. And then you have it all in one place. So it's very convenient, and you'll definitely want that for your trip. So the next thing that you are going to want to do, and this is a big one, set a reminder in your phone, 180 days from the first day of your trip, you can book your dining reservations. Now, I am someone who would recommend only doing at the most one dining reservation a day. And for me, that's a lot. I would suggest more like every other day or less even. We do one on our whole trip, but we go a lot. The other reason I only like to book one is because I don't like being hooked into, having reservations, having to be in certain parks or certain places at certain times. I like to book my trip around my fast passes, not around my dining. So if you want to kind of do a nice combination of both, where you definitely have places you want to eat, but you also have rides you definitely want to go on, what I would suggest doing is booking a bunch of reservations and having 3 absolute can't miss dining reservations. And then the rest would be, if you got them, you got them. If you had to cancel them, it wasn't a big deal. Because you're not going to be able to do your fast passes for a little bit of time, for a while. So once you do get your fast passes, you can kind of see where you're going to be when, and then you can kind of fit your reservations into that time frame if it works, or you might just have to cancel if it doesn't work for your fast passes. You should be able to connect them somewhat, and it's just kind of finagling things around a little bit. So once you get done with your dining, you're going to want to get your tickets next. I recommend getting your tickets like 70 days out, just in case something goes wrong. That gives you a little time to save up some money and prepare for it. But the sooner you get your tickets, the more prepared you'll be to get your fast passes, which is the most important thing to me. So your fast passes, if you're staying on Disney property, is 60 days out. Now that's for anybody staying on Disney property, not just a Disney resort. So if you're staying at the Wyndham on Disney property or a Marriott or whatever, you can do that 60 days in advance also. So that's a big deal. Everybody else can only do it 30 days in advance. So when I'm booking my fast passes, the first thing I do is go on undercovertourist.com. And I'll probably link that below. So I go on undercovertourist.com and I get a piece of paper out and I write down all the days that we're going to be there. So if we're saying Saturday to Saturday, I write down every single day that we're going to be there. And then I'll fill in things like special ticketed events, like if you're going to the Halloween party or the Christmas party, put that in which day you're going, or whatever else you have going on. We had a photo shoot last time, so I made sure to fill that in. My brother was coming a different day than the rest of us, so I filled that in. Just have everything there so you're not blindsided by any outside plans or anything else that you might have planned that you're going to forget about later on when you're going to book these fast passes that you're not thinking about. So once you have your little calendar all filled in, then go on Undercover Tourist and look at the crowd calendar. So I don't live and die by the crowd calendar, but I do use it as somewhat of a guide because otherwise you're kind of just shooting in the dark. And they do take things into account when they are coming up with the calendar. They're not just making this stuff up. So when they say to avoid a park, I generally will. Unless it doesn't work out with my plans, then we just wing it and we go for it. So once you pull up that calendar and you kind of get an idea of what the crowds are going to be like, then you're going to want to actually look at fast passes. Now, what a fast pass is, for those of you who don't know, it's just a way for you to basically wait in a shorter line and not have to get in the regular standby line. So when you go up to go on a ride, it'll say standby or fast pass, and sometimes single rider for a few of the rides. But fast pass will say a time, and that is your fast pass scheduled time. It says 5:30, your fast pass is good from 5:30 to 6:30. And there's actually usually a 5-minute leeway on the front and back end. And usually cast members are pretty understanding. So even if it's 10 minutes or so, like, they understand things happen. Just ask them. They'll usually let you in. It can never hurt to try to get in the fast pass line if you had a fast pass and it didn't, you missed it. So just ask them. You'll definitely want to take advantage of fast passes. There's so many people who never use their fast passes, and I'm amazed by that. I think they think that you have to pay for them or only certain people get them, but everybody gets them. Even if you're not staying on Disney property, you get fast passes. It's just your window for booking is just different. So you get 3 fast passes a day, and they have to all be used at the same park that day. So let's say you're going to use all your fast passes at Magic Kingdom. Then you want to go to Epcot. So what you'll do is you'll just book 3 fast passes for Magic Kingdom. Once you're done using all 3 fast passes at Magic Kingdom, then you go on your phone and you can book it for anywhere else you want to go. So if you can get a fast pass at Epcot, hop on the monorail, go over to Epcot, and you can use that fast pass. Say for Test Track. Then once you use your Test Track fast pass, then you can get another one. So once you get through your first original 3, you can get more fast passes and you can get them for different parks. So keep that in mind when you're there. And that is where the My Disney Experience app comes into play, where you can do that right on your phone real quick and not have to go to one of the kiosks or deal with that. But if you do need help doing it, you can go one of the kiosks, and cast members are there to help you too. So if you're not familiar with it, don't worry, they'll help you figure it out. So when you're trying to pick what you want to use your fast passes on, keep in mind that the best time for fast passes, in my opinion, is from 11 to 3 o'clock. The reason why is because most people get into the parks around 11 o'clock, it seems, between 10 and 11. So then you can get to the parks like the first 2 hours of opening, you're going to have very low wait times. Now, I'm going to use Magic Kingdom as an example again, just so you guys kind of have an idea of what I mean by this. So let's say you're at Magic Kingdom for road drop, or you're there within 15 or 20 minutes of the park opening. Most people are going directly to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Personally, what I would do is skip going to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, get a fast pass for it later in the afternoon, and I would head over to Fantasyland immediately and start going on all those rides. I feel like that Fantasyland has the most rides in the smallest area, so you can hit all those really quickly, and that'll start getting crowded later. So then as soon as you get done with Fantasyland, I would head over to Tomorrowland and get on like Buzz Lightyear or whatever. So if you can get Fantasyland knocked out in the first 2 hours you're there, that is a huge portion of the park that you're getting done. And then book your fast passes for rides that are going to be longer wait times in the afternoon. Around like 5 o'clock, I feel like people start getting ready to go to dinner, or it's nap time for people. They want to head back to their rooms around 4 and 5 to go let the kids lay down before they come back in the park later, or they don't come back in the park at all and they just go to the pool. So that's a nicer time. And then like 2 hours before the park actually closes, you'll notice it clears out a ton. So if I can help it, I try not to waste fast passes for the morning or for the nighttime. I just try to get on right in that, like anywhere from like 11 to, around 4, 3 or 4. So that being said, you're going to want to kind of have an idea, what is your plan for each day at the park? Do you have park hoppers? Because park hoppers also create a lot of flexibility for your day and make things a little bit easier, in my opinion. What we'll do a lot of times is try to get to a park by like between 9 and 10 o'clock, get on some rides without any fast passes. Then I do our fast passes back to back from like 11, second one at like 12-ish, and then my next one at like 1-ish. So then by like 2 or 3, we're ready to move on to another park if it's getting too crowded. Or we stay, it doesn't really matter. But sometimes we're in a park and I'll just start checking wait times for other parks and they'll be super low. So we hop on the monorail or, you know, whatever, a bus, and we just head over to a different park because it's getting too crowded at the one we're at. So that is really nice to have that flexibility with having the park hopper. Once you kind of have an idea of what rides you want to ride in each park, you want to look at the tier system. Usually all the best rides are tier 1, and then other rides are tier 2. The only park that does not do a tier system is the Magic Kingdom. You can get 3 fast passes for any ride, doesn't matter, they're all the same tier. The rest of the parks are tiered, so you'll get 1 fast pass in tier 1, and then you can get 2 more in tier 2. Or you can get all 3 in tier 2 if you want to, but usually you'd want to get a tier 1 ride in there. I think it's good to just know that ahead of time so you're kind of prepared when you go to do your fast passes, because you're going to want to do them quick. You could do your fast passes, like I said, 60 days before the first day of your trip at, I believe it's 7 o'clock in the morning for us, and we live in Ohio, so I don't know with the different time zones. Not sure how that changes actually. So when you're booking those fast passes, a few other things that you want to have ready ahead of time is that you want to make sure that everybody in your group has downloaded My Disney Experience and you're all connected and linked together, and that one person can be in charge of everybody's fast passes. This kind of gets complicated and can get really messed up. So if you have to call Disney to do it, make sure you call them ahead of time and get it done, and just make sure that they have everybody linked and it's all correct on your reservation, or else it will mess up everything else. So this brings me to my point of, if your fast passes do get messed up, and let's say you have 5 people going and for some reason one of their fast passes just aren't working, don't panic. They'll go by the majority of your group. So if the majority of you have fast passes and all your bands are scanning, and then the last person goes and theirs doesn't scan, they'll still let you through. So don't panic if something like that happens. We found this out last time because the same thing happened. Somebody in our group, none of their fast passes showed up, and they said it didn't matter at all. They'll always let you go through as long as the majority of the people in your group have fast passes. So that's kind of a good thing to know and keep in mind. If, let's say, someone did join you who wasn't supposed to come originally, don't worry about it. They can get on the rides with you too, so you don't have to worry about booking them fast passes. Another thing to keep in mind is a rider swap works kind of similar to a fast pass in the sense that you go in the same line. When you do a rider swap though, it's good for 3 people. So if 3 of you are going on the ride, you're basically using a fast pass to get on the ride after the other people have waited in line. So if you have a 4th who wants to go with you, usually they can get on too, because they'll just see that your band's not scanning, and they'll usually just wave them through because the majority of your group got through, so they'll let that last person through too. So just a little tip. If you're trying to get some of those hard to get fast passes like Slinky Dog Dash and Flight of Passage, Smuggler's Run, here's a little trick for you. And it's kind of complicated, but just stick with me on this one. And if you have any questions about it, message me on Instagram and I'll try and explain to you a little bit better at Mickey Mom Blog. But what you're going to want to do is, let's say your trip is from Saturday to Saturday and somebody else's trip is before yours and starts on that Thursday and they're leaving on Sunday. The least amount of fast passes for you are going to be available that Saturday and Sunday, because everybody else whose trips were prior to yours have booked for the end of their trip already, where you're just starting to book on the first day of your trip. But you're able to book throughout your whole trip. So somebody else whose trip doesn't start till the following Sunday, they can't book their beginning fast passes yet, which their beginning fast passes are your end date. So the most fast passes are going to be available for you at the end of your trip. So those hard to get fast passes, book for the end of your trip. Does that make sense? I hope it does. That is how I'm able to pick our timings actually for Flight of Passage and Slinky Dog. Book the end of your trip first actually for the rides that you absolutely want to do, and then go back to the start of your trip and fill in those other times. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is another one that's a little bit harder to get. I've never had a problem getting it. I just usually can't pick my time, but I prefer to be able to make sure I get Flight of Passage or Slinky Dog before I care as much about Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So just keep that in mind when you're booking your fast passes. Now, you can make changes to your fast passes throughout your trip too. So if you book a fast pass for, say, like Winnie the Pooh and you're about to go on it and it says it's only a 10-minute wait time, you can go on and change that fast pass. Cancel, get in line, get in the regular line, and then while you're in line, cancel your fast pass and you can make it for something else. So keep that in mind too. Another thing that you can do too with fast passes is you can split fast passes for your group. So if you have kids in your group who you know are not going to ride some of the roller coasters, but you have adults who want to, what we like to do is let's say we have 8 people in our group and 2 of them are kids who aren't going to ride a roller coaster. I'll make 4 fast passes for Space Mountain, and then I'll make the other 4 people's fast passes, including the 2 kids, for Winnie the Pooh. So what we'll do is I do my Space Mountain one for, let's say, 3 o'clock, and then I do the Winnie the Pooh one for like 3:10. So we all walk over together and go to Space Mountain. Then the 2 people who are taking the kids on Winnie the Pooh will come up and they'll get a rider swap. And then one of the other adults in the group too who will ride a second time. So they scan their bands and get a rider swap. Then they'll leave and go take the kids over to Winnie the Pooh. They'll all use their fast passes at Winnie the Pooh. And then we'll get done on Space Mountain, meet up with them. We'll take the 2 kids. The 2 adults who went on Winnie the Pooh will now go on Space Mountain without having to wait in line. So you can take advantage of the fast passes too if you just take a little bit of extra time and kind of think it through. It does get a little complicated. I wouldn't suggest doing it for every single ride, but it gets you a couple extra fast passes actually. But it gets you some extra fast passes for people who don't want to ride the like little kid rides or whatever. So that's something to kind of plan on too. So I think that is everything. You should be able to plan your Disney trip now with no problem. If you are feeling overwhelmed by it, I know it can be extremely overwhelming. I've been planning our Disney trips for about like 10 years now. I do get overwhelmed with the whole thing too. And if I don't have like my reminders set and my dates written down, my little calendar, I can mess everything up for our whole trip. So those are things that I absolutely do just to make sure we can do what we want to do and our trip goes a little bit smoother. But like if that does seem like too much for you to handle, consider going through a travel agent. We recommend Leanna's World Travel. She's great. She's an experienced Disney travel agent, and she goes a few times a year herself, so she knows what she's talking about. She'll do your fast passes for you. She'll do your dining for you. She'll do all the things I mentioned for you, and you don't have to worry about anything. You can just tell her like, we like this reservation or we want to do this ride or whatever. Just give her kind of an idea of some of the things that you want to do or where you want to stay, and she'll work it all out for you and do everything she can to make all of that happen. So if it's your first time, it might be worth it to go through a travel agent like that and kind of save yourself some of the trouble of having to figure it out. The nice thing too, she's used to going with big groups. So if you are going with a big group where it is hard to coordinate everybody, she'll take care of that for you. And using a travel agent for Disney costs you nothing. So it is worth it for sure if you haven't been there in a long time or it's your first time going, and you don't have to worry about this stuff and someone's going to take care of it for you and you have someone to go to ask questions. I'm more than happy to answer questions for you, but they can not only answer questions for you, but they can help you fix the problem, whereas I can just talk you through it. But they'll actually take care of whatever you need. So you should definitely look into that. I'll link her thing below, Leanna's World Travel. Tell her Mickey Mom Blog sent you. And just subscribe below, like our page, follow us on Instagram at Mickey Mom Blog. And I hope you keep coming back to check up on us and see what else we have coming out. I'm going to do some more videos here soon. I feel like there's a lot of things I mentioned as I was talking that I'm like, okay, that's a whole video right there. So I'm going to do some more videos for you guys, and I will see you soon.